If you can't tell by now, by my love of YouTube and Google and all of that kind of stuff, I absolutely love organic content marketing. I think it's the piece that most people are missing. And if I tell you, which you should already know this because I mention it a lot on this channel, that Google is the #1 search engine and YouTube is the #2, what would you say you think is the #3 search engine? If you said Pinterest, you would be right. If you said anything else, you're wrong. Pinterest. Pinterest is the 3rd most popular search engine in the world, only behind Google and YouTube. That's huge. And we should really be using Pinterest to further our efforts of our already existing organic marketing strategy. So if you're already creating content on YouTube, you should be using Pinterest. If you're creating content on Instagram, you should be using Pinterest. If you're creating content on your blog, you should be using Pinterest. If you have products, you should be using Pinterest. So let's talk about how you, as a beginner to Pinterest, can get started right now and use it to grow your business. What is up, y'all, and welcome back to the Hey Jessica channel. I am pumped that you are here. Today we have Sahar, an amazing Pinterest strategist, to deliver you everything you need to know to grow on Pinterest, to start on Pinterest, and to get your business found on Pinterest. So I'm gonna shut up and let Sahar take it away. Let's go.
Thanks for having me, Jessica. I am so pumped for this episode. All right, let's get into how to get started with Pinterest. Now, I'm pretty sure that you've heard of Pinterest or you're familiar with the platform, but what most people get hung up about is actually how to use it to grow their business. I've had so many conversations with entrepreneurs, especially online entrepreneurs, who kind of look at me like, oh, wow, you teach Pinterest for business. How does that work? And I totally get it, because it's unlike all the other social media platforms. It's less intuitive in that sense because it's less of a social platform, as I'll explain shortly. But nevertheless, it is quite simple to use once you get the hang of it. So what is Pinterest and how does it actually work? Now, the first thing I would love for you to take away from this episode is that Pinterest is not a social media platform. I know, mind blown, right? It is actually a visual search engine, and it's a discovery platform. So think of it more like Google, but like a visual, prettier version than Google. And that's exactly how people use Pinterest. They approach it like they do Google, the search engine, versus how they would approach TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. They're not on there for the social element. And so the way it works is that once you log into Pinterest, whether on your phone or on desktop or whatever device you're using, you're going to find that it's got a whole bunch of images, which are called pins. Now, pins are those vertical images that usually can be, yes, images, but they can also be videos. And what you'll find is that once you click on them, they will usually have a link that is connected to the image or the video. And once you click on that link, it will take you to an external link, like a website. And so in a very simple way, that's how the platform works. It is a brilliant tool for driving traffic to your website. So if you as a business owner create a Pinterest account and start to put out pins on the platform, what you'll see is that you can get a ton of traffic if you know what you're doing, because people will start clicking on your pins if they're engaging. And if they really want to get what's on the other side of the pin, and there's a process to that, then that's how you find that you'll end up getting a ton of people clicking over on your links and heading over to your website. Now, another thing that people tend to do with Pinterest is they tend to save images. And saving on Pinterest is slightly different to, say, saving a post that you like on Instagram or, say, TikTok. Saving is quite integral to the Pinterest algorithm. In fact, the Pinterest algorithm ranks saving as the highest engagement on Pinterest. So, and the way people use it is a lot more intentional, I would say, than they would do on other social media platforms. So it's a very, very important part of the Pinterest experience. The reason for that is because the people that use Pinterest tend to be planners and also creatives. And whenever they're approaching the platform, they are actually going on there because they want to plan for something or they want to work on something. They're working towards a project. They're working towards building a dream that they have. So whether it's redesigning their bedroom, or if it's coming up with a recipe, or if they want to save a product that they saw that they really like. That's how they come approaching Pinterest. They're not coming on there to socialize and check out what their favorite influencers are doing. That's not how it's used. And so saves are really important because when people see something that they like, then they save it to their board. And what a board is, I want you to think about it like a digital version of like a mood board you might have in your office or bedroom, where you hang up all these different pictures and ideas and dreams that you have, like your dream house or the income that you want to make or a certain goal you want to reach, right? So people save these images in boards. So they're a collection of visual ideas. So whether it's for hairstyles or for outfits or for maybe gardening or whatever it is, people will have their own boards and they will save their ideas on these boards. So the way you want to think of Pinterest is that you've got pins and you've got boards. Okay, those are the two main things that people are doing. They're saving their pins to these boards. So that's why saving is really important. Now, of course, that's all well and good, but what you probably want is people to come and check out your website. You want to drive traffic, right? That's the ultimate goal. But usually having a high number of saves is always going to benefit you because that's what the algorithm wants. And so if you create content that people are loving and saving to their boards, guess what's going to happen? The Pinterest algorithm is going to rank your account and your content higher, which means more people are going to see it. And that's how you actually become viral on Pinterest. And it's way easier to be viral on Pinterest than on most other social media platforms. Now, don't worry if people are only saving your content. It's only a matter of time as long as you do a few things with your pins and people know that they can click on them. So you have to give them a reason to click on them, like using headlines or good text or things like that. But as long as you give them that reason, you will get that traffic. So saving and driving traffic go hand in hand in Pinterest. And so this is why Pinterest is great for business, because it takes us back to the heart of business, which is providing solutions for people and meeting their desires and needs. Like there is no greater thing than knowing that you are serving your customers and your clients and your people and your audience, right? And knowing that they are getting what you are giving them and they're really happy with it. And that's what Pinterest is all about. And that's how they've positioned themselves. They've positioned themselves as a positive platform, a platform where there is no toxic like social media culture because you're not going on there and people aren't going on there and having to deal with comparison and shaming and all sorts of like, you know, the cancel culture, like all of that stuff just simply doesn't exist on Pinterest because it's all about ideas. It's not about people really. And so that's why I love it. It's just such a positive space. But ultimately, I love it because it's quite simple to use once you get the hang of it. And so once you learn how to get started with it, you can really see great results with Pinterest. Okay, so I've explained all the great things about why Pinterest is great and how it works. Now let's get into how you can get started with Pinterest. So I'm going to share with you 6 simple steps that you can implement right now today so that you can get started. So step number 1 is once you decide you want to use Pinterest for your business, whether you have an account or not, I suggest that you first open an account. If you haven't got one, and if you already have one, make sure that you convert your personal account into a business account. Okay, so the ultimate goal with step 1 is you want to set up a business account. Once you've done that, you're going to see that you're also going to have access to Pinterest Analytics. So Pinterest Analytics is really important, especially if you're like a creator or a business owner and you really want to take Pinterest seriously and start to see what's working for you and what's not. Because in the analytics, you're going to be able to see what pins are performing well, how your boards are doing, and a whole host of other information that is really helpful once you start pinning and getting into the hang of creating content for Pinterest, because then you'll be able to do more of what works and stop doing what doesn't work. And the way you can get started with that is you can set up a business account by going to the settings. And if you want more information, you can simply go to the Pinterest website and they have all this documentation that shows you exactly the step-by-step process of how to do that. But it's super simple. Now, step number 2 is you want to make a decision about what content are you going to create and what is your niche or niche, depending where you're from, going to be. Now, if you're a business owner, I imagine, of course, that you probably have a a service that you provide or a product that you sell. And so if your ultimate goal is to sell something, or let's say if you're a content creator, but you maybe have affiliate products or whatever it is that you sell, I want you to think about the customer or the client, right? When they are approaching your content, how are you going to nurture them and attract them? Because people are going on Pinterest, they're searching and discovering. They might need some time to make the decision to buy from you. So, as a business owner, as a content creator, I wouldn't go in leading with selling something. I would go in with value and creating value content. Let's say you sell gift wrapping paper as a product based business. What content can you create for your customers that they would find helpful? So you can talk about gift wrapping, different type of gift wraps for different seasons and holidays and celebrations. But you can also share like gift guides and talk about the art of giving and maybe gifts for him, gift for her. So you can create the main content, which is to do with whatever it is that you want to sell, but you can also create content about things that complement what you are selling. So, for example, you might not sell gifts, you might just sell the gift wrapping paper, but someone who is thinking of buying a gift wrapping paper would find it really helpful if you create content about gifts because they need to have a gift in order to buy your gift wrap. Make sense? So, I would start off with that. Once you make a decision on what it is, I want you to write that down. And the more like niched you are, the better, because the Pinterest platform is an SEO based platform, which means it uses search engine optimization, which is another complicated way of saying keywords, right? Like it just needs a lot of keywords for the content to be found. And so once you have a platform that needs keywords, you really need to hone in on those keywords. Pinterest doesn't like it when people are vague or when they create lots of different, boards or pins, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, that are unrelated or don't seem like, they're just completely random, right? So it doesn't make sense for you as a business owner to have a hairstyles board and then a recipes board and then your gift wrapping guide board and then some gifts board and then some cat memes board. Like it's all over the place, right? Like it's okay if you're using it for your personal use, you could create whatever board you like, but as a business owner, as a content creator, you want to make sure that you're specific and you're not confusing the algorithm or your audience, because once they check out your profile, they want to know, what are you all about? What are you selling? You don't want to send any mixed messages or signals. So get specific and decide what your niche is going to be. Step number 3 is you want to find the right keywords. Now you found your niche or niche, but you want to find the keywords that are related to that. And that is really important. Now, I want to share with you a story. I had a client who was a photographer and she provided photography services. And so she hired me to help her find out why her Pinterest account wasn't growing. And when we did an audit, the first thing I noticed was that, yes, she was using keywords, like words like photography and things like that. But when we actually looked at it and did the research, we found that she wasn't using any keywords from Pinterest. These were all words that she thought would come up on the platform, like Instagram hashtags. So she didn't do her homework and she didn't find the keywords that actually had to do with her niche and her account, which is why none of her content was going anywhere. And so another thing that I want you to take away from this is that if you get everything wrong, but you get this one thing right, you'll be fine, which is find the right keywords for your account, for your content, for your pins. Because without using keywords, you are not going to get the visibility that you're looking for. People are not going to find you. They won't be able to discover you because keywords are so integral to the algorithm and how the platform works. And so I helped her out by giving her a bunch of keywords that she could add in her pins, in her boards, everywhere that is relevant for her, which had then helped her account to grow. Now, another thing I want to say about keywords is that once you know what your content is going to be about, it is very important that you do your research on Pinterest and not just assume that it's going to be the same as maybe the hashtags you use on Instagram, because you might find that the messaging and the wording on different platforms like Instagram or TikTok or Facebook is actually completely different on Pinterest. And I've seen that time and time again, where people using the same words or the keywords that they think are going to work on Pinterest, but when you actually search it, nothing comes up and they find that the word that they're looking for is worded slightly differently. So for example, gift ideas, depending on where you're based, it could be presents. Here in the UK where I'm based, people use the word presents quite a bit as well. So not saying that that's a keyword on Pinterest, but I'm just saying these are the things you need to think about. How are they worded exactly on Pinterest? Don't make assumptions, do your research. And the way you do that is you simply go in the search bar on Pinterest, and as soon as you start typing what you're looking for, you just start with the assumptions that you have. Pinterest actually suggests a list of keywords underneath as soon as you start typing. Exactly how it happens when you go and do a Google search. You know how the more you type, the more keywords start to show up. Pinterest does the same thing. And that's the best way for you to do your keyword research. And that's the first place I would start. And then once you've figured out a few keywords, I would collect at least maybe 20 to do with my niche and put them in like an Excel spreadsheet somewhere that I can refer to time and time again, so I can add it in my content so that you're not having to research every single time. You can get into more details with keywords, but that's where I would start. Step number 4 is once you've got your keywords, now is the time for you to set up your profile and your account. When it comes to your profile, so the first thing people see when they click on your name and they see your page, there are 4 different elements that you need to consider. You have your profile image, you have the cover image, you have your profile name and your profile description. So for your profile image, what you want to do is, if let's say you're a service-based business or you're a content creator where you're the face of the brand, you want to put in a really good quality photo in there so that people can recognize your face. And if it's the same photo you use in different platforms, that's even better, so that you have that consistency across different platforms. And then with the cover image, that's an interesting place where you can use that space to promote what it is that you have on offer. So for example, what you'll find is that the cover image is like this big rectangular image that sits behind your profile image. And what I would do is I would actually create a graphic for that cover image, and I would promote whatever it is I have on offer. So let's say you are a product-based business. If you have a discount for first-time buyers, I would put that there so that people know. Or if you have a time-limited offer, I would put that there. If you have a free lead magnet or something that you're giving for free in order for people to sign up to your email list, I would promote that there as well. And I would include the link so that people can see it. Make sure that the link is not a complex one, like it's an intuitive one, an easy one to remember as much as possible. And then what you want to do is you want to set up your profile name. So that would be your name if that's your brand name or the name of your business. And you also want to put in a profile description which describes the who and the what, or who are you as a business and what services do you provide? How do you help your audience, your clients and your customers? So you want to make sure that you put that in there. You can also throw in a link to your website. It's not clickable in the description, but again, if you make it memorable and easy to read, people will remember it. And that's pretty much it when it comes to setting up your profile. Now, step number 5 is you want to set up, at least starting out anyway, a minimum of 3 to 5 boards, all to do with your niche and the keywords that you found. And the best way to think about your boards is the different types of content that you're going to create that sit within your keywords. So if you're someone that, going back to the gift ideas example, if your whole thing on Pinterest is sharing gift ideas, then maybe your 3 to 5 boards could be on gifts for him, gifts for her. You could do Valentine gifts, you could do graduation gifts. So you can see there's different types of content that you can create. And what you want to do is make sure that you name your boards and give them a description that describes exactly what goes in there. And then you can start pinning to these boards. Which brings us to step number 6, which is the final step, and that is actually creating the content, all about designing pins. Now, pins are vertical images that have an aspect ratio of 2 to 3. So they are like these long rectangular images, and you want to make sure that they're beautiful, that they've got great quality images, because it is, Pinterest is a visual platform. So you want to make sure that your aesthetic is of a good quality. But what you also want to do is you want to make sure that you put a headline that converts. okay? And you want to put that headline on the image. So you want to let people know that if you click here, there is a link behind this image. There is a blog post, there is a YouTube video, there is a website, there's a sales page. Whatever it is, you want people to know that it is a clickable link and it will take them externally somewhere where they can find out more. Once you've designed your image and you added in a short description or headline, so for example, a great tip I'll give you is listicles do really well on Pinterest, like 10 ways to do something or 5 different steps to, whatever it is that you're teaching or adding value. And then once you've done that, you want to add a pin description. So just like Instagram has captions, Pinterest does as well. And there's a character limit, so you're not going to write a whole bunch of text, but just keep it short and simple. Describe what's going to happen when people click on the link. What are they going to find out more about on your website, on your YouTube channel, wherever it is that you're linking? And a question that I get a lot is, how many pins am I supposed to pin a day or a week? And I like to respond to that question with another question, which is, how much time do you have? And I think it's really important that you get honest with yourself and decide how much time you're going to give to it. Because I've seen too many people use social media and get a whole lot of anxiety because they have this picture of their mind of, I'm supposed to post 3 times a day every day. But you have life, you have kids, you have a full-time job, and you're starting off with a side hustle, and you just cannot do it in a sustainable way. So I want to ask you, what is sustainable for you? And then, of course, that depends on how quickly you're going to grow. I genuinely believe in slow growth is a good thing because you're going to learn, you are going to make mistakes, you are going to figure things out, you're going to figure out what works and what doesn't work. It's a journey, right? There's no rush. So find the best cadence for you and for your life and try to create pins out of that. But the going advice is about 3 times a day. Now, of course, that depends on how much actual content do you have. Long form content, because Pinterest is always pointing to a longer version of your content. Like a pin is just a picture or it's a short video, so they're not going to get that much out of it. So it has to point to a longer form of content. So whatever it is that you're creating, if you've got a long form content, you could create different pins for the same content. But the best pins obviously are always the ones that are for completely fresh new ideas. You could create more pins for the same kind of content and try to avoid pinning the same pin to different boards over and over again. I would only recommend you do that a few months at a time, and as long as the board is relevant. And that is important because Pinterest back in the day kind of got spammy because that's how people would grow quickly. They would pin the same thing to like 100 boards, and the user experience just started to get worse and worse and worse. So Pinterest is looking for fresh content. So you could put a fresh spin on content you've already created or create new pins for new content. Make sense? Now, I've had experience with Pinterest marketing for over 7 years now, so it's been quite a while. And I promise you that this stuff works, and it works across every niche, every industry. It works, okay? Now, I am super excited to see you implementing it and seeing where it takes you and where it takes your business. Now, let me know in the comments below if you have any questions for us, and we'll make sure to answer them for you in future videos. And one last thing before we finish up, make sure to subscribe to the Hey Jessica channel so that you can get more videos like this where you learn how to grow your online business.